Hello everyone, welcome to my Evil Within 2, Akumu difficulty, no upgrade / keys walkthrough, and this is Chapter 8, Premiere, one of the best chapters in this game, because we are going to be fighting one of the best characters ever made in a survival horror game, Stefano Valentini. The way he is just portrayed in this game, the way he is voice acted, the way his boss fight turns out, it is all done sublimely. We are about to have this penultimate showdown with him, and it is the most tense fight in this game by far. Every time I come to this fight, I get feelings of unease, but at the same time, I feel a sense of joy. I rarely get that with bosses, and this game has just done a phenomenal job with this boss fight. And I know a lot of dumb people are gonna say that, oh, this fight is not difficult, so therefore it's going to be bad. Like, there is a time and place to judge a game based on difficulty, but there is also a time and place to judge a boss fight based on other aspects. Judging a boss fight based on how difficult it is does not cause you to appreciate the other aspects that are cool in this boss fight. Those kind of people who look only at boss fights from a difficulty standpoint, and that's the only thing they look at it from, those are the kind of people that do not appreciate a game. Those are the kind of people that take games for granted. It's those kind of people that have no sense of imagination, and they are the ones who cause bad games to be made. I will never appreciate any such individual who has these kind of views. In fact, allow me to offer my perspective on the Stefano boss fight, not based on a difficulty standpoint. With how much Sebastian has angered Stefano by destroying his artwork, Stefano is ready to go all out, trying to defend the very beliefs he has come to admire against anyone who refuses to view his beliefs from a different perspective. I know the feeling well, as I have been in such a place before. I have been in Stefano's shoes. I know exactly how he feels. I know the rage he is experiencing right now. And that kind of rage is properly expressed in this boss fight. In fact, one of the greatest parts about this boss fight that I'm sure not a lot of people realized is in the first phase of the boss fight, Stefano is a lot more graceful with his movements, and, he's very joyous. He has that artistic flair in everything that he does. But in the second phase, when Sebastian does enough damage to him, his movements become more wild and erratic, almost on par with that of a psychotic killer. He practically turns into a disorganized defender. He's decompensating. His ritualized fantasy has practically stopped working. All of his OCD patterns when it comes to maintaining his artistic beliefs have just gone away. And that has just angered him even more. The way that transition is conveyed in this boss fight, it's perfect. It's so good. I never thought they could nail something so amazing like that. Stefano is definitely the best example of a psychopathic killer. The developers literally describe him as a high-functioning psychopath. And then when they convey that transition into a disorganized state, it's so subtle, but to anyone who has a lot of care for this game, and they actually look at the characters from a deeper perspective, they'll recognize it immediately. That amount of care and dedication put into making Stefano, and to actually make a proper build-up and a proper ending to his character, that is a rare quality you barely see in today's developers. Just imagine if Salazar from Resident Evil 4 had the exact same kind of care put into his character like they did with Stefano Valentini. His character arc would have been concluded perfectly, but what do we get instead? We get a lot of build-up to a penultimate showdown with Salazar, and his final boss fight is the worst boss fight ever in Resident Evil 4, where he does nothing but one move, and you have a bunch of trashy hitboxes, a bunch of trashy QTEs, and a dragged-out boss fight. Wow, fantastic boss design right there. That is exactly how I wanted to remember Salazar. No, it isn't. Thank God Stefano is nothing like Salazar. In fact, I especially like the way he dies. The way he just accepts his death with pride since he gets turned into a masterpiece by Sebastian in his mind. It's a very memorable moment with his character, and it's a really interesting quality. It's the kind of quality you see with characters like Joker, with how he just views death as a joke, and how he views everything as a joke. But in Stefano's eyes, he views everything as an art. The way he just accepted his death as a masterpiece was the perfect way to end his character arc. Stefano has practically become my favorite serial killer ever, even if he is a fictional character, when it comes to just how intriguing he is. I mean, he's up there with the likes of Manson, or Dahmer, or Ted Bundy, or all those kind of individuals. But enough of the praise, let's begin this amazing fight, which begins with some of my favorite quotes from Stefano. So, the first attack he's going to do is he's going to do a melee attack. You want to always run towards him to bait out his melee attack, and then run away from him. After he does that attack, he's going to do a range attack. You know he's going to do the range attack because he says, you can't avoid me. And to avoid this move, you got to run to the side and then run towards him. Stefano's quotes will give away what move he is going to do. And this move right here, he's going to try to make it seem like he's going to do a melee attack, but he's actually going to teleport. He always does that the second time he tries to do the startup frames for the animation. Now, this move right here, Stefano's going to use his camera in order to slow down time in a particular area. You can use a shotgun to stun him, and it will always be a guaranteed stun so long as you're at the right distance. But if you're in a position where you're not in the right range, take note of where Stefano is standing because he will always be on the outside of the area. And never ever try to aim towards Stefano for longer than a second. If you aim for too long, he'll teleport. So you have to aim at Stefano for a split second and fire within that time frame. And now we are on to the second phase, which is the most tense part of the fight, because he's now going to be disorganized. He's going to lack any kind of grace. He's going to be very wild and erratic, and he is going to be very angry with you. And upon first starting this phase, he's going to try to attack you with his aperture. The aperture is going to use its tentacles on you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for it to attack, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to pick up both of these ammo caches over here. The ammo will constantly respawn in this fight if you wait long enough. So the aperture will attack 3 times before Stefano's going to come get you. He's going to do his melee attack, so run towards him and then run away. Shoot him, and then he's going to do this move over here. If you stand over here, he will always spawn over there. Always shoot him the moment you hear him pull the pin on the grenade so that he doesn't teleport while you're aiming at him. And when he says Philistine, he's going to try to run towards you and grab you. You can stop it with a shotgun, but I highly recommend you run away from him and then use the shotgun. Now for this move right here, he's going to be teleporting all over the place, but you need to wait for him to say bleed for me, and then you need to dodge his knife throw ability. So there he is. I'm going to run to the side, and I'm not at the right range, so I'm going to have to use my pistol, but I was not able to hit him in time. Couple things to bear in mind when it comes to dealing with Stefano. Whenever you successfully stun him with the shotgun and he says you're going to pay for that, believe it or not, during the time he says you're going to pay for that, he's in the map. You can actually see a flash of blue coming from Stefano when he goes behind a wall. It's random where he's going to be, but if you get to him fast enough, you can actually shoot him before he has a chance to teleport away. And when it comes to dealing with his knife throw ability, I highly recommend you stand near a wall so that you can force Stefano to be in a position where you can easily see him, and he's not being obstructed by the explosions he's frozen. The best spot where you want to stand when it comes to dealing with his knife throw ability is this wall I'm at right now. That is definitely the best spot where you want to stand when it comes to dealing with Stefano's knife throw ability, because he has less options for where he can stand when it comes to throwing his knife. Now, the aperture's attacking right now, so I'm going to use the time to pick up some ammunition, but there isn't any ammunition over here. Once the aperture's done attacking, Stefano's going to come for you again, and he's going to do the same pattern as before. He's going to do the melee attack, and then he will do the camera move. And I make a mistake here. I aim at him too early, so he teleports away, but for some reason he teleports back, so I get very lucky. Don't make my mistake. Always make sure you wait for him to pull the pin on the grenade before attacking him. I currently have to shoot Stefano 3 more times in order to finish this fight off, and it's just so interesting of a fight. It's so interesting seeing someone like Sebastian going up against someone who is effectively a god in the system, and it really makes the fight tense. I really love this fight, and it's about to end right here, and now that I've dealt the final blow over here, that will be the end of this chapter, so stay tuned for the future chapters. This has been an amazing boss fight. I will let this final moment play out. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.
I had so much left to create. You've destroyed my legacy. Look at me. You made me into a masterpiece. Must record it. If only I had my camera. Where did it go?